Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. So I have, as you know, been on the journey of 1 year without a grocery store. So I've been doing quite a bit of baking over the summer. So what I had in my working pantry, what I call my working pantry, the flour, sugar, ingredients, I actually ran out of that. Now I have backups to my backups to my backups. So what I had to do was open what I call my sort of medium short-term storage. Not my long-term, not Marla bags, but I had some flour that I oven canned maybe about 2 years ago. And people say flour, pre-ground flour, pre-packaged flour does not last more than 6 months to a year after the expiration date. So it's not that I set out to do this intentionally, but this is well past that time and I want to see if it's any good still. So YouTube says I uploaded this video over 3 years ago. So this flour is 3 years old or thereabouts. So here is the oven can flour from 3 years ago. It's an all-purpose, and then I have a wheat. Now the all wheat, I don't know why they do that, but this one was canned in 420 and this one was canned in 620. So yeah, over 3 years ago. So I'm going to pop these open. I used to use just the wheat for feeding my sourdough, so I will do that because it does need it. And I will see if this flour is any good. You can see the color difference. I don't really think it's any different from, say, a fresh bag that I would have pulled out off the shelf or out of the grocery store today. So yeah, 420 and 620. So not feeling really confident about this, but as you can see, the seals are still intact. And when I was going through this, I do have 6 cases of this, 6 cases of 12, broken up between all-purpose and wheat. There is no bread there because I was having problems finding bread flour for the longest time and still am. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. So let's open this. And we're going to see if as you can see, the seals are still intact. That's a good sign, first good sign. So I'm going to open these. And someone said they're lumpy, so I'm probably going to have to... sift these. So we'll see. I was trying to see if we can hear the seal on them. I don't know if you did or not, but we'll see. I did hear the vacuum release on them once I opened them. Probably the music in the background, you couldn't quite hear it, but I did hear a little bit of a vacuum when I opened them. So they look fine. The next test is going to be smelling them. Here I am smelling them. And I did get a second opinion on the smell because my nose is not the best. And they said it smelled fine. So let's try and make some bread. So I have commercial yeast here. And this is, did keep it in my freezer, but it is expired, as you can see. Last year, November, it expired. So hopefully the yeast will be okay. And this is my sourdough starter. Sad, it's looking sad. As you can see, it does desperately need to be fed, so I'm going to be doing that as well today. And I will bloom this yeast before I continue with the rest of them because I want to rule out if something goes wrong. So this is what my sourdough starter usually look like, nice and bubbly, alive and everything else. So as you saw in the previous clip, it definitely needs to be fed. This is the all-purpose one, and it's usually a little less bubbly than my wheat one. This is a wheat all-purpose combo on the left. So we're gonna feed those and get them set right. So I'm gonna do rolls and I'm gonna do a loaf of bread because I need both in my household. So I have rolls in the bowl here and I'm blooming the yeast. Just gonna cover it over just to keep it warm, and then I'm going in my mixer. I'm going to do the loaf of bread, and I'm gonna bloom that yeast as well, just to make sure it's active and alive, and it's gonna do what I need it to do. So while the yeast for my bread is blooming, I'm going to sift out my flour because it is quite hard in these jars. I guess removing any moisture from them in the oven canning process has made them quite hard and clumped together. So I am using a knife to try and get down there and just break it up so I can get it out of this jar so I can sift it. So that's what I'm doing right now. And here is the wheat one. I am sifting that. This one was a lot more lumpy than the all-purpose one. I'm not sure why, but as you can see, the lumps are quite big. But as far as I can tell, it looks and smells just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and sift quite a bit of the wheat flour and probably twice as much of the all-purpose flour because I want to try and fill up my 5-gallon bucket.
So this is my jar of whole wheat flour put back into the half-gallon mason jar. But what is amazing is that it's pretty much full. I took out 3/4 of a cup to add into my all-purpose flour to go into the loaf of bread I'm making and the rolls. I'm making 12 rolls right now. And it's still full pretty much. That's because when I sifted it, it introduced air into it and it fluffed it up. It's just amazing that it's still full even after I took almost a cup of flour out of it.
So now that all my flour is sifted and my yeast has bloomed, as you can see, sorry for the shaky camera and the out of focus, but I have sifted out my flour, and these are my roll. I actually just mixed it in with the oil and I forgot to turn the camera on. That's why it looks that way, because it already has the oil in it, and yeah, I mixed it. So it was bloomed. I made sure before I started this. So in goes my flour, my salt, and my other ingredients. For my bread, I used a couple of other things. I've shown you this bread recipe before. So this was basically just to make sure this flour was good. That was the basic gist of this. So it goes my flour into my mixing bowl, and this would be for my loaf of bread. At this point, I'm making about 2 loaves a week. I started out with 1, went to 1.5 a week. Now we're almost up to 2. I think we have like maybe 2 slices left over in the week. So yeah, I'm at 2 loaves of bread and various amounts of rolls per week. So this was very much needed in my household. So I'm adding the rest of my oil and my milk mixture to my rolls, and then I'm just going to go ahead and mix in the flour. And because I have the loaf on my mixer, I'm going to actually mix this by hand and knead it by hand and get my rolls done. And these recipes are so easy and straightforward. They can be done on a mixer or by hand. You don't need a mixer to do these. So I, from time to time, will do them on the mixer, but 9 times out of 10 I do them by hand if I have the time. So I'm just here kneading it by hand right in the bowl. Sometimes I do it on the counter, or sometimes I do it in the bowl because there's not a lot of counter space in my kitchen, unfortunately. So mixing it in the bowl works. And here is my loaf in the mixer, and as you can see, it's coming away from the sides pretty cleanly, and it's just about ready to come off of the mixer. So I finished kneading the rolls, and I'm just putting a little oil so I can let it rest and rise, and it won't stick to the bowl. That's basically what the oil's for. You don't need a whole lot. So I'm just making sure it's coated all over before I put this in a warm place. In my kitchen, it's in the oven with the light on. So into the oven they go, and then I have the loaf here. I just put some saran wrap over it, and I will proof them until they're double in size. Here they are, doubled in size. I'm going to, the kids' favorite part, but I get to do it this time, punch it down, and we're gonna shape it, and let it go for its second rise. I use the Pullman loaf pan. Now, you can use any loaf pan. I mean, I just got these because we like sandwich loaves. I don't really like the squared off top. I like a rounded top, so I don't usually use my top. But this makes a great shape sandwich loaf. So that's why I use it. But you can use a regular loaf pan. It's fine. This would probably make probably like 1.5 of the regular loaves. Not quite 2. It's not quite big enough for that. But it will make a nice size Pullman loaf pan. And as you can see, I'm measuring it. And I always like to measure because I don't want to get it in there and then have to do some craziness. So I'm just rolling it up tight. You've seen me do this numerous times before. I'm gonna roll it up. Try to dust off any extra flour that I might have picked up. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to just pinch my end together just to make sure it doesn't open up. And I'm going to put it in the pan. This is such an easy loaf. Seriously, I have had, knock on wood, no trouble with this recipe. None. Even when I was doing it sourdough with this, it still worked. It's a nice, easy recipe, especially with commercial yeast. So I'm just going to put a top on, and it's going to go back into the oven to proof. So now it's time to shape my rolls. So what I do, I use a kitchen scale. You don't have to use a kitchen scale. I like them to be like sort of uniform because they rise and they bake pretty much all at the same time if they're the same size. Now if you got some a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller than the other, I don't think it matters too much. You just don't want a really big one and a really small one. They will bake at different times. So I needed like literally 30 seconds, and then I'm going to just cut it into equal portions. Like I said, I do use a kitchen scale because I like it to be the same size so they bake all at the same. This recipe will make 12, and I will section them out and then use my kitchen scale to make them. Now as far as the rolling technique, I do the cup method on the counter, and basically I roll it into a bowl first. I find this helps me make the bowl batter, if that makes sense, and then I cut my hand over it and form the actual bowl itself. So forming that first bowl helps me to get the right shape to begin with, and then I use my hand to make a cup form to get that roll perfectly rounded. And this didn't exactly come natural to me, but with practice and patience and just practicing and doing it over and over again, you will get better and better with this. In the beginning, my rolls did not look like this. Now, in the beginning, I was probably about 12, but, you know, with practice, your technique will get better and better. So all you have to do is cup it and just let it roll around in your cupped palm, and you will get the hang of this in no time whatsoever. It will come naturally after you practice doing it. Don't be discouraged if at first you don't get the right shape. It all tastes good anyway. So now I'm just going to get the rest of the rolls shaped up and into the pan. Now in my household we like butter, so I grease my pan with butter. That's what I use. I covered it with saran wrap and put it into my oven with the light on because that's the warmest place in my house. And as you can see, the bread is already started to rise. So here it is. It's doubled in size, the rolls are. But as you can see, I poofed my bread a little bit too much. It touched the lid, and when I took it off, it deflated it. It touched in 2 places. But that's okay. Like I said, it all tastes so good. So my rolls are doubled in size, so they are ready to cook off as well. So here is the finished product. I did put some butter on the top, and as you can see, I can't even explain how good fresh baked bread smells. It smells so delicious in my house right now. We could definitely eat dinner right now. And here are the rolls. I did again put some butter on them because we like butter in our household. Yeah, so these are the rolls, and they'll be gone in no time. So here is showing you my actual loaf cut up, and I did toast it with some butter. Now these eggs were hard boiled, and I had too many and I put them in the freezer, and I wanted to see what they taste like hard boiled, frozen, defrosted, and then made into egg salad. So first of all, I use butter in my egg salad. Go figure. I don't use mayonnaise. I don't like mayonnaise in my eggs, but these turned out pretty good. They were, I wouldn't say on the rubbery side, but you could definitely tell the difference between a fresh egg salad and what I made here. Are they passable? Are they edible? Yes. But would I do this again? Probably not. So my initial experiment with oven canned flour, was it good after 3 years? So the answer would be yes. Now, I don't know if oven canning extends the life, or if I would have just packed it in, say, a Mylar bag. Will it be good 3 years out? I might have to try that out, because I do have flour in Mylar bags, and they're probably coming up on 3 years. So that will probably be another video for another time. But these oven canned flours that are 3+ years old are fine, and I am working through them. And as soon as I do that, if it's not the end of 2023, I will go into my Mylar bags, because I won't have any other flour to use other than my Mylar bags and my wheat berries. So we'll see. If I go through these in the next couple of months and have to open up them, I'll let you know. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and click that notification bell to be notified when I upload videos.